As many of you know, in the last 2 months I was participating in an EU4 competitive tournament called Parabellum, where all of these 6 players, so me, Floriworry, Absolute Habibi, the student, Playmaker and the chairman, were facing each other in very tricky EU4 challenges where we had 1 hour to complete a specific action. It was played like a league, where you see we are collecting points, 2 score for winning, 1 score for a draw, and after 5 weeks of playing each other, we had a 3rd place match and the 1st place match. I want to show you today how the games look like from my perspective, how I almost went unbeaten through the whole season, and how I was 1% difference close from actually winning the whole tournament. So if you don't like spoilers, you didn't watch some of these matches yet, I recommend you to turn off this video, although it's gonna be pretty interesting to walk you through all of my strategies. In the first week, I was facing the student. What you have to have in mind about this season versus previous season, in which I ended up in the 3rd place after winning a 3rd place match with the student, is that this whole season I was playing with my friend's PC. Because one of the biggest issues I had the previous season is that I couldn't play fast. And how I'm supposed to use my skills and micromanagement and APMs if I can't play fast, right? So for the last 2 matches last season that I won, I borrowed that PC, and for the whole this season I also borrowed the same friend's PC. Every single Wednesday I was driving to his house to pick up that PC and then drive it back. But at least that gave me not an advantage, but a chance with any of other players. First week challenge that I received in that match versus the student was starting as a nation in India, lead the most trade nodes. So you might already think that, oh, it's 1 hour, so you need a very strong nation in India that can expand into many directions at the same time. So the most basic choice was Vijay that I chose. It's in the middle, right, of India. It's close to Middle East, so like Hormuz nodes. You can go northeast, you can go northwest, or you can go into Malaccas. And at the same time, it is the strongest nation in India in 1444. There are some other picks that you could consider as well, like Gujarat if you wanted to more focus on west, Bengal if you wanted to more focused on east. Bengal is also having really strong ideas and bonuses, but I did choose Vijay because I felt like this is the strongest country, while the student decided to start with Bengal. But I'm not gonna focus much on his strategy, I want to walk you through my own strategy. What I did was split into 2 phases. Phase 1, simply conquest. Going into specific trade regions like Gujarat, Deccan, Tibet, Bengal, as well as Burma. All of these nodes, just conquering them while focusing on the trade centers. So this way, very naturally, by owning these provinces, I did easily get merchants out of them. Second phase was the last 10 minutes, where I started attacking nations and regions where, first of all, I could make sure that I do keep over 50% of the trade nodes, so that's why I attacked Gujarat. I did take another province in Deccan, but at the same time, remember that you can also still trade power in a peace deal. And that's why in the last few minutes I did also attack Hormuz, and simply by taking the trade power, I was having majority of the trade there, and I also did plan doing the same, I just simply didn't have enough time to siege it down. I think in ideal run you can do it on Ayutthaya, you can also do it on Doab, so at least 2 more trade nodes are totally possible. But anyway, my score was really good because we've got dominant in Lhasa, Burma, Bengal, Deccan, Coromandel, Gujarat and Hormuz. So 7 trade nodes, I think 9 or even 10 in a really good scenario is doable. But I was really happy with the 7, and that was more or less around my expectation before the challenge. So I was pretty happy. I also did reach 1469. And so I didn't have any issues with speed. I never had through the whole campaign issues with money. It might seem that I'm having a bankruptcy ruling, but that's just because last 10 minutes push. Why corruption is simply coming from tax discrepancy and amount of the overextension that I had at the end. The students in the meantime did end up having 4 score, Lhasa, Burma, Moluccas and Bengal. It is mainly because he had some issues with a few wars, so he didn't get as much as he could. He also did no CB some nations a bit too early, so he couldn't force any peace. But anyway, even without these mistakes, I think I would still win it, because I won by 3 notes. But who knows, maybe with some tricky stuff he could have achieved more. But that's how our match first ended. Pretty much decisive victory, and we started with the first win. In the other matches, we saw Flory winning with Habibi and Plain Merriker winning with Chairman. Week 2 was extremely interesting because it was a themed week, meaning that all of 3 challenges in that day were around one theme, and that theme were custom nations. So if you started as a custom nation with your capital in Scandinavia, have as many Norse provinces as possible. What's important about that setup, the limit of points was 200, but we were allowed to use negative points, which means the real limit of the points was more around 1,000 with these modifiers. When I was planning for this challenge, you remember we have 30 minutes to plan before the match. I was, first of all, I planned a simple conquest setup, so I start with Anatolian peeps, with a government that allows you to convert fast and conquer fast, and also with insane army quality that gives you infantry fire, and then also in some first ideas, modifiers to your missionaries and their strength. But then, for some reason, just before the challenge, I didn't have time to test it, I was like, oh, you know what? I should just go and do Siberian front in the new world, so you have just to change your capital to the new world and start using the Siberian frontier there. But you know what happened? Because I didn't test it, I did set up completely the wrong way. And so when you see that on the screen, I was trying to get this done, I couldn't get it what I wanted within the points limit. And I found out only later that is because for some reason I thought, and I shouldn't, that if idea is taken earlier, then it's cheaper. Why is the other way around? Meaning that if you take a negative modifier to points earlier, you get even bigger negative. And the other way around, if you put it later, you get a lower negative. So that's why I couldn't get a Siberian frontier to work. You see my face there, like, I'm getting a heart attack. I actually ended up spending over 10 minutes trying to set this up. But you see, in the end, I was like, fuck it, let's go back to my origin plan. 2 missionaries, infantry fire, missionary strength, and some other very good modifiers with also negative points, and plenty of provinces here in central Denmark that were just a good base because I was controlling all of the straits, plus a province in Ireland, so I can easily conquer there. What's important about my government is that I chose Crusading Empire, which besides giving me missionary strength, more importantly, it gives you a Holy War CB for all the other religions, and since you are Norse, that's pretty nice. Since this was a conquest challenge, I did really well, conquered plenty of provinces around Denmark, northern Germany. I went also a lot into Scandinavia and more importantly Russia, because there are lots of cheap lands there. And since, and of course Ireland, because I got a province early on there. And keep in mind, it was just counting a month of the Norse provinces in the whole world, so it didn't really matter if it was in your hands or someone else's hands. So I also massively used subjects. So keep in mind, if a province is of your culture, it is cheaper to convert, and same with your core, it is full core, it's cheaper to convert. So I did leverage that a lot, and with 4 missionaries available for us, it was really easy, and I did end up converting plenty of provinces as you see here. Since I started a few minutes later than Chairman, he did reach 1483, so massive good year, and he did win with that strategy that I didn't go for. But even with that, he did end up with 49 provinces being Norse. My ass, we did reach 13 years less, but in this 3 years less, we did get 51 provinces that were Norse, so 2 provinces difference. You see how close that was. So very well played, Chairman. If he played the whole Siberian frontier perfectly, so moving the capital earlier, he would probably beat me. But I'm also... You can set up your custom nation in 2 minutes. I took like 11 or 10 minutes to make it set up. That was my mistake. So these are the standings after 2 weeks. After these 2 weeks, only me and Flory had 2 wins. Flory won with the Playmaker, I won with Chairman, while the Student won with Habibi. Week 3 was very important because that was the match, that was the week when I was playing against Mr. Flory. So that week was decisive on who is gonna take the first place after the 3 weeks. And I'm pretty sure they did it on purpose, but they specifically chose a nation that is really hard and is gonna show it through skill, and not every player is able just without much of preparation to play as this kind of nation. Starting as Albania own the most forts, so it's not only about conquering and surviving as Albania, but also having enough money to build the forts and maintain them at least for a bit to have it in the ending screen. I'll say that in the interview, and I can say it again. At the same time, when there are 2 very skilled players, something that might be decisive is RNG. And let me just show you how I played first. Since Albania starts with an insane amount of the fort defense, I stacked it early on, and then I just used it to siege race Serbia and swipe them in my own mountains. With the Skanderberg general we are winning everything, and my early game was focused on uniting my region, getting Wallachia as a subject, and at the same time finding allies for the future war against the Ottomans. And I think the allies that I was looking for was mainly Hungary, Aragon and the Mamluks. At the same time, Flory, he declared a bit later, and since he waited a bit more, he got Hungary to support independence of Serbia. So that slowed him down a little bit, and I think that was the main RNG difference between the two of us. Plus, he never even tried getting allies. He just played a no balls run. Oh well, there were loans, but no allies run in this challenge. So that was a really good run from us. We never had through the whole run any issues with money. We were making a lot of money, and the only moment I started taking loans was to start building forts. You see, I conquered so much in the Balkans, and even in the last 10 minutes I did manage to grab whole southern part of Poland, including Moldavia, to get just more provinces to build up these forts. So you see, there are 2 parts of this strategy. First of all, getting enough lands, and then also have a stable enough economy to be able to build all of these forts. So it was both having a lot of money from gold mine and trade, at the same time also stacking the construction cost modifiers. Something that I didn't consider and didn't read properly in there, because we get always more details on the challenge when you see on the screen, is that provinces that you occupied also counted for the score. So that's a big advantage that Flory did in the end, declared so many wars to also occupy forts, versus me just conquering and building them. So he didn't end up with a massive score of 36 forts as a goddamn Albania. But worry not, guys, we've got all of this, which is 51 forts. That was, I think, a perfect run. I don't think I made any single mistake in this whole run. Every single click, every single siege, every single decision was correct. So that, it would be really hard to beat that score. Maybe if you played faster or had better RNG than I did, but really hard. Really hard. I'm really impressed by myself in this run. That was a second time in my history of matches versus Flory when I managed to win with him, because I lost in the previous season of Parabellum, and we also faced each other on season 3 of the Masters of Universalis, where we faced each other in the gameplay phase. I lost there, and then in the grand finale I won one of the 3 games. So my score against Flory was 1 win, 3 losses before that season. So with this win I got to 2 wins, 3 losses against Flory, which means that's how the table was looking like after 3 weeks. We had 6 points, Flory had 4 points. Playmaker and Students, they both won their matches with Chairman and Habibi, so they're at 4 points, which means Chairman and Habibi were at 0 points. So in week 4, we are playing against Habibi, and even though he had 0 points, remember in previous season he was at the 2nd place, losing only to Flory. So you couldn't say, oh, this is an easy win because he's losing everything. No. I was really afraid of that match, because that was very important for my path towards the finale. Week 4 was another week that was themed. This week's theme was about other start dates. In our case, me and Habib were supposed to play better than Napoleon, so starting as France on 10th November 1799 owned the most provinces in Europe. That's the first start date in EU4 where you can find Napoleon ruling France. This challenge required a lot of strategy to be prepared, because first of all we start in a gigantic war against whole Europe, and you'll see that in my case I decided to piece it out right away, the coalition war, for these provinces in Normandy and Brittany, as well as some random islands around the world. And that was very much required, because yes, we can win that war, but how much time are you gonna spend on it? And that was my first advantage against Habibi, who stayed in that war. Second thing is to stack admin efficiency and province war score cost modifiers. In this start date you don't have any deploy ideas, so it is important to pick deploy ideas and field ASAP for the province war score cost. At the same time, you are a revolution, which means you have revolutionary zeal. Now, to get revolutionary zeal, it's not like absolutism. The best way to do that is to attack someone and enforce revolution on them. And that's what I did by attacking Spain in my game. Just like you see, I made them revolutionary. That gave me 50 revolutionary zeal, which is like 50 absolutism. And then after you stacked all of this, and we're ready, the next step is to start declaring giga wars in Europe, because as a revolution, you get a CP that gives you half cheaper war score cost of provinces, just like I did, you see here, against the Ottomans. I took whole Balkans from them in the one war. So this way I could keep expanding and get a lot of provinces very easily. Just to show you how my ending map will look like. There you go, I managed to conquer all of this, which was like 320 provinces, versus Habibi ending with like 130, I think. So pretty good score. I was also very happy about that. Obviously it wasn't perfect, there was so much more that we played better. Mainly I think micromanagement, I mean, add more APNs to get to 1820, would be additional war with Spain, for example. Since they were revolutionary, the war score cost of provinces for us was 25%, not 50%, so even cheaper. And then I also, in the end, I wasn't having enough war score, like to get Sicily, to get much more. All of this from Russia should be possible. And even something from Great Britain. I didn't manage to do so because I didn't have enough time in my final wars. And some tiny stuff like I didn't take Malta and Granada. With these two I could even have more war score cost. I switched religion to Reformed, but if I switch it to Protestant instead, I could get another 10% province war score cost versus other religions. And when I tested it on the other runs, it turned out that you can also get a revolutionary center that I didn't get in that game. A revolutionary center, you can get to 100 of revolutionary zeal without any wars. So yeah, this is what Habibi ended with. We won another challenge thanks to each. That's how the table looked like before the final week. 4 games, 4 wins, 8 points, with Florence Student at 6 points just behind us, which means in that week Student won with Playmaker and Flory won with Chairman. So this guy still stayed at 0, 4, 6, 6, 8. And in the final week, I was already guaranteed to go to the finale. These guys were guaranteed to be not qualified to the 3rd place match. Playmaker was sure he's gonna be in the 3rd place match, while Florence Student were playing for the place in the finale against me. Which means in the final week, me and Playmaker were just playing for fun. Right, just for the good score, it didn't matter. Of course, I wanted to stay invincible without any losses. The challenge that we received was also pretty tough, like the Albania one. Starting as Granada on the most provinces in Western Europe. So my strategy for that game was obviously to go for the disaster, get a new ruler. I was unlucky, I got ruler that was 212, which slowed down us taking the Miltech. And that Miltech 4 is crucial for the war against Castile. And yeah, since I'm talking about it, Castile was... The strategy for me was to defeat Castile, get the base, especially the gold mine in La Mancha, and from there start doing OCBs in Ireland, maybe even to Scandinavia, to just spread your AE a bit while waiting for the truces in Albania to end. But the issue is, yes, it doesn't look like it, but I won that war with Castile quite decisively, Let me show you that. That's what was my peace deal. Very strong country, richly, very quickly I was out of the loans and making a lot of money, but I got a regency. Unlucky, 11 years of regency, that was really tough for us. I had to stay on my ass and scale. I couldn't go to Ireland, which was my plan all the time, which ended up pretty nice, because I used that time to build up for the final war. So worth mentioning here, I was like 6 years behind Playmaker after 35 minutes. So I asked Leif if we can just don't have spectators, because he was lagging me so much, and this way I could just actually play faster. If I didn't ask him for that, I would still end up probably like 10 years behind Playmaker and never get out of Regency and end up with this score. But since they allowed us to leave, I could declare a giga war against Aragon, Portugal, Naples and Austria at the same time, and then also a separate war on Castile. So in this last, I think 11 or so minutes, I did take a lot. These are the provinces that Playmaker had, plus he also had Ireland. By myself, I got a few here in Naples, I've got some islands in the Mediterranean, plenty of provinces from Portugal, as you see, plenty of provinces from Aragon, but mainly the islands, and then a lot of provinces from Castile. So my amount of provinces was pretty good. Up until that last war, I had no loans and 1,000 ducats. So it looks like I was ruined after this, but that save would be totally playable if not that final push. In this challenge, I managed to get 41 provinces. Pretty good score. Ireland, of course, could be more. While Playmaker also did really impressive score with that great strategy to go to Ireland of 31 points. I think combining these two strategies would be the ideal scenario here, where you start strong in Iberia, then go to Ireland, while the truces in Iberia are going down, maybe even manage to get some provinces in Scandinavia. So this way probably like 60 points would be doable. I'm just guessing here, obviously it's just 60 minutes and stuff, and I think both of our scores were really good. In other games, I think Tournmanent won with Habibi, and Floriwori won with the Student, which means for the final week we had matches, me versus Flory for the first place, and Student and Playmaker for the third place match. And the final week, oh boy. So, before the third place match, us and the audience, so me and Flory and the audience were told all 5 challenges. And that will be possible with the best of 3, and we had that whole third place match to prepare. And we knew that the public is gonna choose the challenges that we play, at least 2, 3 if both of us win the first 2 games. So we've got, let's see, Diplomatic Challenge, have the highest income from vassals. We've got the Economic Challenge, have the most new 18 deaf provinces. Warfare Challenge, starting as a queen just conquer as much. The alternate start date challenge, as Spain in the Quadruple Alliance start date just conquer the most in the old world. And then last one, the Custom Nation challenge. I think I prepared for all of them in like 45 minutes. We also did talk a bit with Flory mainly about some gentleman agreements, what we'll not do in case a specific challenge comes in, which is I think pretty nice. And we even discussed a strategy for the economic change, thinking, surely the audience was not gonna pick that. So we're discussing like, oh, maybe Jiangsu is the best. I was actually the one that suggested Jiangsu. That was my original idea. Maybe Ashikaga, maybe something in Europe like Florence and Holland. But we're like, nah, people are not gonna pick this, right? So obviously people did pick it as the first challenge. And I think that was funny because I put the seed of that idea of Jiangsu gameplay on Flory's mind. While myself, you see here, when they chose it, like, what do I do? Because Jiangsu was my original idea, but when I was looking even deeper and deeper, I was like, oh god, you have to give away 2 provinces. You have to develop the other 4 provinces a lot to be able even to start the war. Because how this change worked, let me show you that. It's not here on the screen, let's go to the previous screen. How the challenge works is that to declare any war, all of your provinces have to be 18 development. So you have to develop 18. or give away the provinces. To take any new province in a puzzle, you also had to have all of the provinces being 18 deaths. So even if you declared 5 wars and you pieced out 1, you had to core these provinces and dev them to 18 to be able to piece out another nation. Very strategic and tough challenge to plan. And you see my face again. I was just, Jiangsu, Hosokawa, Florence. Jiangsu, Ashikaga, Florence. Jiangsu, Ashikaga, Florence. I ended up going after Florence. And the strategy here was pretty much as if I was playing a single player. Meaning that you stack AE impact. 10 from High Prestige, 10 from Age of Discovery bonus, so you had to get the Golden Era as fast, also as many of the stuff done there, and 20 from Espionage Idea. So a lot of AE impact. But then you also stack Improved Relations. Again, a lot from High Prestige, an Advisor, Traders, and I think there's also a mission that Florence has for the Improved Relations. And with both of this stuff, obviously, conquer land, ideally at least 18 death. If it is below, just dev it then to 18 after coring and declare new war, declare new war, declare new war, declare new war. And that was another game where I was having an absolutely stable, no loans nation with lots of money, unless Florida, unlike Florida that ended up playing as Jiangsu. The only thing that I think could be played better here by myself is being able around minute 40, 30 to declare on Tunis. But in my case, Tunis allied Morocco and the Mamluks, so I had to defeat that triple alliance to take any lands there. Ideally these are fairly developed and have good terrains to death. But the issue is, yes, I would beat them on land, but I would never be able to get with my fleet there. You see, I had like 1, 2, maybe 3 provinces with coastline. And even though I go to like 40 ships, I would be defeated by them on the navy. So instead, I purely focused on European provinces. Let me just show you how it looks like. So by the end, I also took here Rome, I took Geneva, and I took Milan. So my final score was 18 provinces. New provinces. Starting provinces don't count for the final score. My floor worry with my original strategy that I ceded to him ended up with, I think, 13 provinces. So we won the first game, still undefeated the whole season. Second challenge chosen by the people was have the highest income from vassals. And I've seen comments from people saying, oh, Majapahit is the best, Ayutthaya is the best. Well, they have nice modifiers that they can stack and they can get some subjects. But trust me, it's nowhere close to what you can get in an hour as the Ottomans. Because Aelets, they don't get Liberty Desire, so you don't have to worry about them not paying you tax income. And they don't take diplomatic slots, so you can have like 30 of them. And more smaller vassals is better than a few big vassals, because every nation has a base tax. And then also Ottomans can stack a lot of income from vassals. Obviously, besides one from influence ideas that everyone can get, you get 25% from conquering Wallachia. And you can also get another 25% from their tier 4 guarantee form. The issue is I just didn't play enough time. I think I missed like 10 years to get to that reform, so that wasn't too bad. But yeah, we both with Flora chose the Ottomans, while having a gentleman agreement to not switch religions, because there's the religion switch trait that gives you 200 relations with all of the Muslims. We just agreed, no, let's not do that. And the game went not bad. You see, I've got a lot of in Arabia. I in general got much more subjects than Flory in total. He had a lot of big subjects, I had a lot of small subjects, so that was my big advantage. But at the same time, I misclicked my first piece against Mamluks, and I didn't take Damascus, which meant I didn't get the mission that would allow me to make them an elet. I had to run additional war, and then I ended up not having enough time to do that again. I also, as you see, were 4 years behind in that game, which was fine. But even though I didn't have the Mamluks, I didn't have Tunis, I did have a lot of more subjects than Flory, and we did stack the same modifiers, right? The influence ideas and Wallachia. So even with this, all of this in mind, the score was 49 to 51. 2 score difference between two of us. And honestly, I only thought about it after the game, like in the night. I was like, Zlewikk, you could have won that by like 20 income. You know why? I did not dev a single time tax in my subjects. And I had mana for that. I would have over 1,000 admin mana for that. That's one thing. And the second thing, I didn't have any loans, only 1%, which means I could have spent all of that money to build the goddamn temples on all of the subjects. Another thing, Flora did that as well. So this scores 50, I think 70 was totally doable by both of us. But yeah, that was extremely close, and I think not many players would be able to get that 50, but wanted to just share with you, no guys, neither me nor Flory played it perfectly. We missed a lot of important steps there, at least the 2 ones that I mentioned, but in my case the Damascus peace deal. Super close, which was great for the content, and we went to game 3. Just as a reminder, same as in the season 3 of Masters Universalis. It was also that close back then. We went to game 3, in which we were supposed to dismantle the HRE as the smallest nation. He did it as a nation with 4 development, I did it as a nation with 5 development. That's how close it was back then. But yeah, let's see the final challenge. Final challenge was let them cook, starting as a castle nation with no more than 50 points on the most provinces in the old world. Another one where we had a gentleman agreement with Flory, no negative points. Remember in like week 4 or week 3? Week 3? Oh, in week 2. We used negative points. Here we just agreed no negative points, just to make it more fun. And we agreed that we can take negative points from ruler, heir, and queen, which was alright. And here we had both similar and different strategies with Flory. What was similar about our strategies, we both started next to Ming, because Unified China is just too strong for this setup. And so we both planned conquering China through Unified China. We both started as a horde, and we both took Calf Fire as some modifier for us to fight efficiently against China. What's the difference in the setup between the two of us is that he started in the middle of China, but with a gold mine, which costs a lot to take. And for that same cost as he took gold mine, I took like 15 provinces in Siberia with a snake to Ming. Just like I decided on the quantity of provinces, he decided to focus on the starting province strength. Second difference is that he panicked and take Center of Trade upgrade cost as his tradition, while I planned this and I took province of Caucasus as other religions, which is just cost like 12 points. So that was an advantage that I was having at the very start. The game itself, it was going really nice. I started uniting Manchuria and preparing for my first war with Ming. In general, my whole strategy for that game was unite Manchuria, build up, fight first war against Ming, take full money in some provinces there, not take mandate yet, so I can raise and have more mana, then go after some other nations around, mainly clearing the rest of Manchuria and taking Korea, which I did, as you see here, which I was doing. And then, in the meantime, of course, shorten truce with Ming by taking the money again from them. And after that, declaring war on Ming again to take the mandate of heaven, and then rush to unify China. Because you still can unify China in like 10 or less minutes. But when I took the mandate and some provinces from Ming, here it was all good. So I took it and wanted, in the meantime, to deal with the hordes that took a lot of provinces in China. Remember, if you unify China CP, you get a core on every province in China that you occupy. So I wanted to use that on hordes and then go for the next war with Ming. The issue is, when I was declaring war on Oirat, and let me find you that moment. Look, at first I chose the right CP, Unify China. Then I was just checking some war score costs from Heishi if I wanted to take them right away, or take them as a cold belligerent. And the second time declared forced tributary. What's the worst? Take a look at this again. they both had the same icon. So when you're playing fast, you might just not notice that. So I declared the wrong CB. When you go for forced tributary, you have to force tributary to take a single province. A single province. And forcing tributary on the nation size of Oyrat is 80% war score. Just annoying, I didn't notice that. And I wasted a lot of time on that war, like 5 minutes before I realized. Just let me show you. See, 5 minutes, 70% war score is when I realized. So 2 mistakes in that war. First of all, I white piece Haishi instead of taking, is it like 6 provinces, because of 1 I wouldn't be able to take. And that's just 4th level wonder. Big mistake. Second issue is wrong CB. And here, I was counting that. Can I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, around 18 provinces in China that Oyrat had that I was about to take in that war. And I didn't. You see the war score cost of these provinces? You see the war score cost of these provinces, how much I would be able to take? Yeah, that was enormous mistake. I think for full war, for this 70% war score, 15 to 20 provinces I could take. I had to white piece this, and in the last 5 minutes, rush unifying China, which I knew it is totally doable, because first war, you occupy as much as possible and get cores, and you pick all of the forts, so then you can truce break them, and look, just in 2 minutes, run another war, and piece them out for all of this. I had to piece out for an 86% war score, because I was running out of time. War goal for unify China is taking capital, and I took it at like 80%. Can we see it? No, I took it at 57% after 328 days. Level 1 fort. It was a really unlucky siege, by the way, guys. So if I siege down 40 seconds earlier, I could have done another truce break on Ming. 0 forts, and at least like 10 other provinces that I could have taken. I think one issue that you have here versus also Masters of Universalis, in Masters of Universalis, in my preview of myself, in their tool for streaming, I saw a countdown, so I knew exactly how much time I have left. Here I have to put a stopper, a timer on my phone to know how much time I have left. I keep in mind in this challenge we stopped in the middle to let Leif and Red hold quick, because I was like 6 years behind after 15 minutes because of the game speed. So, yeah, if I knew at this point I have 30 more seconds, I would run another truce break on Ming and take 1, 2, 3, 6 provinces easily. That's literally a 30 seconds work. And that I put that blame on me, because even if I didn't know I have 30 seconds left, I saw it's like 5. That's how I was rushing that peace deal. If I knew it was 30, I would have at least tried one more war on Ming. 2 bats, I think. This is really good score, look at this. For 1 hour, this is amazing score, and I think I've played it really well. And I had much better strategy than Flory. And also set up nation with the province war score cost. But the small things decide. And guys, it was 3rd game. We were playing there already for 3.5 hours. Mistakes have to happen. Like, Flory did mistakes with the setup. His setup wasn't good in that challenge. So yeah. In the end, like, I think when we're having, at this point, let me show you. At this point of the game, Leif and Red Hawk were already discussing, oh, that Flory won another game, it's not even close, what Zlewikk did wrong to lose this. But I'll tell you what, once they calculated scores at the very end, that's mine, right? And that's Flory's. Also 6 years behind him, right? I was 7 years behind, but he paused for the last 2 minutes. We lost by 2 provinces. 2 goddamn provinces. And I just showed you how many places I could have taken these 3 provinces to win. That's how close it was. And when people say that player played flawlessly, no, none of us played flawlessly. And it was just 2 provinces behind. 2 provinces. 2 goddamn provinces. But I think that's what makes it really interesting, like, to provinces difference. It's like, what, 1.6% total score difference between me and Fleur that decided who won this whole tournament. And I wasn't even mad. Can I show my face in the post-interview? I wasn't even mad. I was like, oh wow, that was so nice. You know, so much adrenaline, 3 games, so at least both of the games that I've lost were so close. I wasn't mad at all. I went downstairs to my wife after that finally, and she thought that I won because I was just so happy about how nice this whole thing went. And only after like few hours I started thinking, oh, this could have been done better, this could have been done better, this could have done be better, this could have done be much better. That's why I want to also record that video to let you know we both could have played much better, but no human is perfect. And no AIs will be perfect in EU4 anytime soon. So guys, yeah, that's it. We did end up second with the silver medal. That close to win in both of the challenges, and word or not, in June there's gonna be another season. I just picked up my new PC today, so I'm ready for the next season. And if you want to root for me, remember to subscribe to the Parabellum channel that you have linked in the description, and you can also check whole season content there, both the VODs but also edited videos in case you don't have time to watch all of it. Thanks guys for watching. If you did enjoy this video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Bye.